Now, what is this blue thing right here? This blue apparatus. Why did they put that there? This is your pulsar. Okay. This is a diaphragm right here. Okay. This is much like if you ever took apart a two-stroke carburetor and you see that big diaphragm that pulses up and down. That's basically what this green structure is here. Okay. This will go up and down and fluctuate. Now, for the pulsar, okay, this takes a lot of abuse, a lot of hard. You know, you got the injectors firing, you got that on-off switches, you got 8 on-off switches, you got the pump running, you got a lot of harmonic, you got a lot of vibration. Well, how are you going to control that vibration? Well, it's your pulsar that takes the abuse. So this diaphragm here, it has a metal cup. Okay? That metal cup that attaches to the diaphragm has a ginormous spring, all right? And this spring, okay, is a beehive style. It is tapered, okay? Because there's a lot of harmonics. They need some way to stabilize that spring, all right? I think they went to a conical style after a while, but that was told to me, so I can just toss it out the window. I know for a fact that this is a beehive spring, okay? So what happens is when this pressurizes here and it's regulated, there is a orifice, okay? It's a little tiny orifice. I mean, it's small. It's probably 40 thou, I would say. There's a little orifice here. Sorry, it's getting parched. So this chamber right here fills up, and it's pressurized now because your regulator is doing its job. All the excess volume of fuel goes out and back into the tank, goes back into the basket area. This orifice right here this vents underneath the filter. Okay? So remember, there's fuel pressure here, okay? Since the fuel is blue, and since it's hydraulic, all corners, all sides exert this, feel the force, okay? Feel the force upon you. Okay, this is pressurized, all right, and it's even because it's a liquid that's pressurized. It's going to put that pressure on everywhere it touches. That fuel goes in here into this little orifice, where in turn actually it gets stagnant, because when the fuel enters here, it really has no way of exiting it. Will it hurt it? No, not in the slightest, because you can have old fuel here, but since you have fresh fuel constantly circulating around here, it's never going to slack up on you, okay? This pulsar right here, okay? This takes a bunch of abuse. This spring, this green spring right here, there's a lot of harmonic, there's a lot of vibration. It really is being worked, okay? And this only travels up and down maybe an eighth of an inch, and it's probably not even that. But you have this big spring pushing on this diaphragm, and there's an orifice here, and it can only push and pull so much fuel in and out as it's pulsating, okay? So this thing is vibrating, it's pulling fuel in and out here. That is your pulser. That takes the electrical abuse of the injectors and the fuel pump running. And that, because it takes all the abuse from the fuel system electrically, what you don't have in the fuel system is that hum, that vibration. That it'll crack plastic, it'll break plastic fuel lines. It'll wreak havoc on the solenoids in the injectors. It'll wreak havoc on your electrical pump, your fuel pump. This right here saves your electrical system, right? That pulser. So, as you can see, if this goes bad, this diaphragm right here, what's going to happen? Because this can rupture. If that ruptures, it ruptures. Boom. Now what you have is, and this is part of why they have that orifice small, okay? If that ruptures, because it'll get old, it'll get brittle, even though it's fiber-enforced diaphragm, it may spring a leak. That leak will dump into here, into this small reservoir, which in turn goes in here, which goes back into the tank, okay? Any part of this system that fails will dump into the tank. Now, you'll have, let's just say this is a working pressure of 43. Okay. When this ruptures, if your pump is strong enough, okay, you will still see 43. If your pump is weak, you'll see this number right here. You got a weak pump. And the diaphragm broke. It broke. You'll have on a weak pump, you'll have 42, and then as it's running, okay, as you sit there and the vehicle's running, it'll go to 41. And then it'll go to 40. It'll keep going down. Now, the further down this number goes, the weaker your pump and the more worn out it is. On a good pump, it will stay at 43. Now, what happens when, and here's how to check this. Okay, here's another way, a surefire way to check this part. You turn the key on, start the engine, let it warm up, turn the engine off, and you still got your gauge on your injectors. What you'll see is, if your diaphragm here is leaking, you'll see the gauge. You know, you got your gauge, it's hooked up to the, here's your needle, here's your 43. It's hooked up to your engage, your injectors, okay? What you'll see is that gauge will slowly decrease. It'll slowly decrease, like a leaky injector, okay? If you replace your injectors and you still... Sorry, I had to free up some space on my camera. I'm running out of memory again. If this diaphragm is ruptured, you replace your injectors and the needle still goes down. The needle still goes down slowly to 0, okay? This is ruptured. So if you hook up a fuel pressure gauge and you see that when you shut the engine off, the gauge slowly goes down, what's happening is you either got a leaky injector, a leak externally, or a ruptured pulser. So you need to take the injectors out, and you need to put them back in the fuel rail, and you need to put a stop so they don't blow out, and you need to turn the key on and see if the actual injectors are leaking, okay? Because if they're not leaking and this gauge still goes down, that diaphragm's ruptured, all right? So, that's all I got for you guys, and I know I'm going to have to do a couple of pieces to this, so it's a lot of information on one little item, okay? That is the difference between a mechanic and a technician, okay? The people that say that the technician is just a name, it's just something that looks good on a resume, or a technician is not that knowledgeable, look at this, okay? Because the mechanics that don't believe in technicians, those mechanics are very limited on their ability to make their box bigger, okay? They are so obtuse that they have the ability to think outside the box, but their box never gets any bigger. So they stay stagnant, and they don't have a dynamic way of thinking and making that box bigger. So I hope that helps. And as we progress, I will get more technical and more technical. And I hope a lot of you don't fall asleep on me. So like, subscribe, that helps grow the channel. I am not looking for monetization. I am just simply getting information out there, okay? Pertinent information that you're not going to find other places. Technical information, technician information. So, till next time. Glove off.